Guys, welcome back to my channel, and today's topic of choice, with barking dogs in the background, if you can hear them, I'm sorry, is that I'm gonna do a reaction video to the books that Chris gave me for my TBR. So I will have like a Chris TBR wrap up and reaction video. So I just started The Bells. I am like 3 chapters into it. I mean, I just started it. So I'm on chapter 4 on page 22. And this is my audiobook for the moment, which I'm really enjoying because the narrator has such a beautiful voice, and she just, the way she pronounces things, like I sit here and I would read it, I would read the Kingdom of Orleans because that's how I pronounce New Orleans. And she pronounces it Orléans, and it's so pretty. And then when she speaks French, because there's a couple French spots in here, she says it correctly. And I'm just like, oh, it's so beautiful to listen to. That was my speaker turning off and scaring the crap out of me. But I'm enjoying it so far. Basically the Bells are being introduced to society right now. If you don't know, The Bells is about the world that is gray. The way they describe it in a little preface, the little history of New Orleans, whatever, Orleans. The way they described it was that, let me see, hold on. Says the god of the sky fell in love with the goddess of beauty. And so beauty was in love with humans, and the sky got jealous. So the sky made all of the humans gray. They are gray everywhere, gray hair, gray skin, gray everything, except for the Bells. The Bells are the daughters of the god of beauty, and they are beautiful, and they can make others beautiful. So this is the new group of Bells, and we have our main character who's, hold on, what's her name? Chrysanthemum, I think is what her name is, or something like that. Hold on. Camellia. Wow, I was way off. Her name's Camellia. She's one of the new Bells, and they're trying to figure out, she wants to be the best Belle. She wants to be like the court Belle. But they just did their little presentation and showing off their Belle powers. And then you get a little bit of the background of how they grew up, how they learned how to use their trade, how they were the only ones born with beauty. But so far, I am really enjoying it, and I will keep you guys updated on this book as well as the other 2 books that Chris picked out for me as I read them. I definitely don't think this is going to be a September TBR book, though. I think this is going to be until I finish this TBR type of thing. So this video could last like a month. So, because it's already the 24th of September, and I'm just now starting my first book because I am reading very slowly right now. But book number 1 is started. Yay! And I will keep you guys updated as I read them. Bye! Hi guys! So I realized that I have not given you a reaction to the books that I'm reading lately. And since I wanted to do like a whole reaction with my wrap up for these TBR books that Chris set for me, I figured I would get on and give you guys an update. I am more than halfway through The Bells now. I'm on page 267, which is chapter 32. So I listened to about 150 pages of this a couple of days ago, and found that I was getting really roped into the story. So this book is about, because it's kind of based out of like New Orleans, but they don't say it like that. They call it the Kingdom of Orleans, which I'm assuming is probably how you properly pronounce Orleans, but I am an American and not, I'm from the Northwest, not from the South. So I pronounce it Orleans instead of Orleans, but it sounds beautiful in the way she pronounces it. Anyways, I'm looking at the map on the inside, which is absolutely beautiful. The whole book is pink and white. So the book is about this Kingdom of Orleans, and they have a race of people that are born gray. And then they also have a race of people that are born beautiful. The beautiful ones are called Bells, And Belle's job is to put color and life back into all the gray people. So, I really didn't have any preconceived notions beyond that when I first started the book. And I don't want to give anything away by any means, but it is definitely a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. It has so many different little twists and turns already. You spend most of your time with one Belle and her transition from going to school to getting her first assignment. And there is so much layered conspiracy stuff going on that you're like questioning everything, you're questioning everybody. And she is too, because she's trying to figure out who she can trust, who she can't, what's going on with her family. And because the other Belles, they call them sisters, and so she's trying to figure out what's going on with her fellow sisters, why there's so few of them. It sounds like there used to be quite a large number of Belles, and now you only get about 6 per class, and the classes seem to last several years, and then they get replenished with new people. And then the older Belles go back to help teach the younger ones and give birth to the next generation. So it's kind of like a cross between a blessing and a curse to be a Belle. And the book is really grabbing me. It's really pulling me in, and I'm, over halfway through it now, and all I can think is, oh my goodness, when's book 2 gonna come out? Because I have a feeling this is gonna leave us off at a massive cliffhanger. Because there's so many people that we can't trust right now, and there's so many questions and so many unanswered questions, and I'm just like, ooh, so much. But I just want to let you guys know that I am working my way through it. I'm doing an audiobook for it. I wasn't sure. I haven't been reading very fast physically. I never have read very fast physically. I'm reading from Twinkle with Love right now, and I'm like 50 pages into it, maybe. Yeah, about 50. I have 45 pages into it. So I'm reading really slowly. And so the audiobooks seem to help a lot. And today I just got a bug up my butt and I wanted to sew. So I went and I put together a quilt top that I've been working on forever. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I have this blue and yellow and white blanket that I made. And I got the pattern from the Missouri Star Quilt Company YouTube channel. And if I remember while I'm doing this, I'll link it down below. But I'm terrible at remembering stuff like that, because I'll say this and I'll go, oh yeah, I needed to do that while I'm editing it. But once I'm uploading it, I forget. Anyways, she made this serendipity quilt where you take one block, and when you're making one block, which is the quilt that I already have made, it kind of morphs into a second block. And so the leftovers from one blanket can make a second blanket, which is why it's a serendipity, because it's they're exact opposites. It's really pretty, actually. And I love my blanket. And I've had the remnants and all the little squares for the other blanket, like a tiny bit assembled forever. And so I went through, I didn't have to do any cutting, which I probably should have. I probably should have cut all the squares so they're the same size, but I'm being lazy and all I wanted to do was sew. I didn't want to cut, and I hate cutting. So, yeah, I sat at my sewing machine for the last couple of hours and just started sewing. Now I'm 32 chapters into this thing. So, yeah, I'm completely loving it. And I was a little leery about this because it sounded kind of, oh, look, darn, you have pretty girls and they have to change gray people into pretty people. I just wasn't feeling it. I thought it was going to be, but Chris wanted me to read it. So I went and found the audiobook for it. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I have Audible and a library card and the Scribd app, which I don't get paid for any of it. I'm not sponsored by any of it. I pay for all of it. Well, I don't pay for the library, but you get what I'm saying. So I pay for Audible and I pay for Scribd, but I'm a audiobook junkie, so I use them all. And so I ended up having to get this one on my Audible because there wasn't one on Scribd and my library didn't have it either. So I've just been hoping this was a good book because the last thing I want to do is use my credits for a book I don't like. But that is not a problem with this one. It's definitely, it's kind of yanking me right into the story, and I am very much enjoying it. And I'm kind of babbling now. It's a freeform book. I didn't realize freeform had a publishing house. Okay, anyways. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because all of freeform's TV shows are definitely teen oriented, but they're also dark and kind of twisty. And this book is kind of dark and kind of twisty. All right, well, I will let you guys go for now. I haven't started any other books on the pile. I've been kind of keeping to one TBR book and one normal book at a time, so that way I don't get them mixed up, because I want to try to do the reaction videos, and the last thing I want to do is have to go through and separate all my clips out so that way I have different ones. But I'm thinking about doing the second one to Furthermore. Witchwood? Does that sound right? I'm thinking about doing that one next, but I'm not sure yet. I also want to get Strange the Dreamer because Muse of Nightmares comes out in like a week. So as soon as I finish the bells, I'm gonna go and finish Strange the Dreamer too, because that one comes out soon and I want to go get it when it comes out. And I can't go buy a bunch of books I haven't read the first one for yet, especially since I have a box coming that has those books in it. Good thing I love Laini Taylor's writing. So yeah, I'm going to go now because I'm off on a tangent, and I just wanted to let you know what I was thinking of the bells. 8 minutes later. Talk to you later. Bye. Hi guys, so welcome back for more reaction time. I finished the bells yesterday. I actually finished it yesterday morning, and I don't know what to say. I don't know how to talk about this book. It was really, really good. I really, really liked it. I definitely think the synopsis sells it so short. It is such a good book. There's so much drama. There's so many, the villains are horrible. And there's so many little twists and turns that you kind of see some of it coming, but you really don't see other stuff coming. Like you're like, I don't know if I trust this person, or you're thinking, oh, this person must be bad. And then you realize that it goes way deeper than you thought it was going to. And the little twist at the end, I guessed that who it was going to involve, but I just didn't quite guess how it involved it, if that makes any sense without giving too much away. But the next book comes out in March, and I am definitely going to be buying it. And if it's the same narrator, I will definitely be listening to it also. I spent most of my time listening to this book. I didn't listen to the whole thing. I listened to most of it. Well, I listened to all of it, but I read along with it for quite a bit. For some reason, I'm going through this like weird little slump where I'm having problems reading my fantasy books. I've been listening to my fantasy books instead of reading them, and I don't know why, and it's driving me a little bit bonkers. But this one was amazing. I loved the narrator, and I really, really enjoyed this book. And I have 2 more Danielle Clayton books. I have the ballerina series that she did. It's called Tiny Pretty Things and Shiny Broken Pieces. I'm trying to look at my bookshelf. I can't see it all the way from here. But she co-wrote both those books. And if this is how her brain works, then I'm very much looking forward to reading those books too. So, reactions for book number 1 of Chris's TBR. Amazing. So glad I read it. So glad it ended where it did though, because if it had ended about 20 pages earlier, I would have thrown my book across the room because I was getting really pissed because so much was happening. It was culminating so well, and I was so pissed because these people are terrible human beings, and I'm so glad they're not real because they're terrible human beings. But yeah, if it had ended like 20 pages earlier, my book would have gone sailing across the room, and I don't throw books, but this one would have gotten thrown. So, or my phone would have. Probably the book, because the phone would have cost me too much to throw. But it didn't. It ended at least in a spot where I can wait until March. If it had ended any earlier, I would not have been able to wait until March. So I'm glad that it ended where it did. She did a great job at wrenching my heart out, making me furious, making me excited and nervous and all those good, wonderful feelings. and still leaving me at a spot where, yes, it's a massive cliffhanger, but it's not so bad that I have to have the book right now. But let's just be honest here. If I didn't have to wait until March, I would still read it right now. So yeah, that's book number 1 on the TBR list, and I will come back when I start book number 2. Bye. Hi guys. So Chris gave me this TBR in September to read, and it's only like 4 books long. And how many books have I read off of it? 1. But to be fair, I got stuck in the Strange the Dreamer, Sarah J. Maas hole for the last couple of months. I just recently finished The Kingdom of Ash, and I need something to pick up afterwards to keep me from getting into the Sarah J. Maas slump that happened when I read the ACOTAR books. So I'm looking through my books. I need something cute. I need something good, something that's going to be quicker and easier to read than that enormous book. So I grabbed this. Of course, I only have the cover because I'm reading it right now. But it's perfect for what I've needed. It is exactly what I was hoping it would be. And I am about 130 pages in. But there is a couple of spots I want to read to you guys. So hold on a second. So I am sitting on my floor right now in my daughter's beanbag chair because it just works better. And so if you don't know, this is the actual book. And that's how far I am through it. It's got deckled edges and it's got a little horse on the front. It's cute. Okay, so it's about Lady Jane Grey. And there's a little like prologue to it, which I thought was really funny. And it starts off, it says, "You may think you know the story. It goes a little like this. Once upon a time, there was a 16-year-old girl named Jane Grey who was forced to marry a complete stranger." This is actually in the book, the way it's written. Lord Guilford or Gifford, something or other. And shortly thereafter, she found herself ruler of a country. She was queen for 9 days. Then she quite literally lost her head. Yes, it's a tragedy if you consider the disengagement of one's head from one's body tragic. We are merely narrators and would hate to make the assumptions as to what the reader would find tragic. We have a different tale to tell. Pay attention. We've tweaked minor details. We've completely rearranged major details. Some names have been changed to protect the innocent or not so innocent, or simply because we thought a name was terrible and we liked another one better. And so this is how this story goes. And it's like the whole thing is like a satire. It is funny. So you have 3 points of view as of right now. You have King Edward, who is sick with the affliction and is dying. And he writes in here, some of his inner monologue is, "Poor King Edward, now under the ground, hacked out his lungs, they've yet to be found." Because the affliction, I'm assuming, was, all right, well, the affliction, I'll write down here what I was pretty sure it is, because my brain is not functioning yet. It's one of those old coughing diseases that are pretty much eradicated from the world because we get vaccinated from them now. Anyways, there's 3 points of view. There's Edward's. There is Jane's. And Jane is a total bookworm, and she likes it that way. Nobody really knows who she is because she just keeps to herself. And her husband, Gifford, I'm assuming is how you say his name, Gifford Dudley, who's her husband, who is the son of the king's right-hand man, is her husband. And one of the chapters starts off, so her husband was a horse, and nobody had told her. Not her mother, not Edward, and certainly not Gifford. She'd had to find out as it happened and get the details from a servant. Outrageous. And the whole story is just, I mean, yes, there's some serious points in it. Of course, you have an arranged marriage that nobody's happy with. You have the king who is dying that arranged this marriage so that way somebody would be able to take over the throne, because apparently it was unseemly to have a woman take over the throne. But Jane is close enough to the bloodline that any of her heirs would be able to be king. And it's just, yeah, politicalness. But so far I'm liking it a lot. It's extremely funny, and it is definitely a good break from the Sarah J Maas epic fantasy hole that my brain was starting to spiral into. I looked at like 4 different books, and I just happened to pick this one up, and I started reading it, and then I read the little prologue part of it, and I laughed so hard that I kept reading. And so now I am 130 pages into it, which is chapter 9. But yeah, it's interesting how they played with history. So I'm kind of curious to see how they play with it some more. If you couldn't tell by the horse reference, if you didn't know what this book was about, there are these, she pronounces it, but that's part of my learning disability. I can't pronounce words without hearing it, so I need to actually hear the word, and I'm tempted to like download a sample of the audiobook just so I can hear how you say it. But you have an entire like subspecies that of our, like, you know, it's like a hereditary trait, and people actually turn into animals. And Jane's husband is a horse. And she's talking about, there's this entire section where he comes back from being a horse, and she confronts him about it because no one told her before they got married that he was going to be a horse. And she's talking about the piles of manure, and she's talking about how he comes back naked, and it's just, it was funny. The embarrassing factors of it were hilarious. So I'm liking it so far. I will keep you guys updated as I read a little bit more, and hopefully I can actually get this TBR knocked out soon and be able to read the last 2 books on it. I still have the sequel to Nevermore. Yeah, the sequel to Furthermore, which is Nevermore. I have that one left to read, and then I have one other one. I think The Cruel Prince was the one that we were going to read together though. So that might be it. It might just be this one and that one. I have to go look at the stack or at this video where I go through, or my TBR video where I go through the books that I need to read. So yeah, book number 2 is finally getting read, and I'm liking it a lot. So I will talk to you guys soon and let you know how this one goes and when I start the next one. Bye.
Hi guys. I hope the sound is going to be okay. I'm sitting outside because I need a little bit of, believe it or not, warm air. We had a massive storm that came through recently, and for some reason the inside of the house is like super cold. Plus I've been sick, so I've got my eyes all messed up and I sound like this, and I apologize because I feel kind of ugh. But I finished my Lady Jane last night, and I wanted to tell you a couple things that I learned about it. So, I'd never heard of her. I mean, I'd heard of her in like passing, but never actually knew anything about her. So I looked up on BBC a quick history of Lady Jane Grey. And the way that it was explained was, she was a random queen in the middle of the Tudors. So you had King Henry, who had all of his wives and was very disposable with his wives. At least one died in childbirth. He beheaded at least 2, and he divorced or annulled another like 2. He had like 8 wives. And if you know anything about the Tudors, he was kind of crazy, and they were disposable to him. But he had 3 kids. He had Mary, Elizabeth, and Edward. So the book is about Edward. And how during his reign he got sick, and right before he died, his secondary, the president, the Lord President, or whatever it is they call them, had convinced him to change the order of succession so that his sister Mary did not get the throne, but that his cousin Lady Jane Grey did, because history-wise, it was because of their religious beliefs. So England was Protestant and Mary was Catholic, and they were worried about what she was going to do to the kingdom being Catholic, which was smart because she is Bloody Mary. But they wanted Jane to have a male heir to be king. They didn't want her to be queen, they wanted her to have a child to be king. And so they married off Dudley, the Lord President, his son, to Jane in order to have a child. Well, they only been married for 6 weeks, and Edward died. And Jane was made queen a couple of days after he died. And then she was only queen for 9 days until Mary got an army from the Roman Catholic Church and from her followers to usurp Jane and then lock her up. And then she stayed locked up for like 6 months, and then they beheaded her and her husband. So that was like the quick version of their history. The book takes that and puts a spin on it. So instead of it being between Catholic and Protestant, and like I said, after Mary killed Jane Grey, she was queen for 5 years, and in those 5 years she managed to kill like thousands of Protestants. So she was known as Bloody Mary because she like murdered everybody. But after she lost the throne or died, I didn't look into her very much, so I don't know what happened to her. Their other sister Elizabeth took over, and she was Elizabeth I, she's very well known. Everyone's heard of Elizabeth I. She was like the best queen they've ever had. I mean, I guess they love Elizabeth that's the queen now also, but in that point in time, she was like amazing. So what the book does is that it takes the basic history and then it flips it. Instead of it being about religion, they were about these animal versus non-animal magic people. So if you had the ancient magic that turned you into an animal, you were bad Protestant. If you were a Verde, which was you had no magic, then you were good and a Catholic. So part 1, it says, in which we revise a bit of history, and then part 2 is where they like throw out history and they totally redo it. But I think it's really cute how they how the story was put together, how they used a ton of aspects of actual history, and then they used their own imagination and made this historical-ish fiction.
Hi guys, welcome back to the reaction video for Chris's TBR. I need to go watch the reaction to My Lady Jane because I don't think I ended that correctly. I was getting confused and frustrated and I cut myself off, and then I started raining on me and I left outside and I never came back and checked on it. So there might have been like a clip just before this one of me coming in to update you on what I left out, and there might not be. I don't know yet. I won't know until I start editing, and I keep meaning to start editing. I've been so tired because I've been working so much that I haven't been doing any of that. But I am on the 3rd and final book in her TBR. So we do still have the group read, which I'm probably not going to be reading with her. I'm probably going to end up reading by myself. And I will read that this month because the next one comes out next month and I want to have it read before that comes out because I did order a special box with that book in it. Did that make any sense? I still have The Cruel Prince left. I'm working on Witchwood now, which is the 3rd actual book that she picked out. The Cruel Prince was supposed to be our group or our buddy read, but she's been so crazy busy with school that she hasn't gotten to it yet. But I got the special edition cover from Owlcrate, and I wanted to have my books match. And so Owlcrate's coming out with a special edition box with a new cover that matches that cover. Oh, this is so confusing. But I want to read it before it comes out, even though I already bought a box for it. Or I might have bought 2. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now, is I am working on Witchwood. I'm doing the 'Tis the Season-a-thon, readathon, or whatever it's called, and I needed a book with red on the cover, and so I am reading that book for that challenge. Yeah, because there's 5 challenges. One is a red book, one of them is a holiday book, one of them is a fuzzy book, and that one's my red book. And it's also my audiobook. I'm kind of liking the audiobook. The only problem I'm having is that the reader, the narrator is kind of inconsistent with his speed. So he'll go normal speed and then super slow. So I turn the speed up. Now it's super fast and normal speed. But honestly, the super fast I can follow easier than the super slow, because the super slow I start tuning out. But he's very good other than the speed. He is kind of a fun narrator. He's kind of a fun narrator, and I've been liking listening to him. So I'm listening to that one to and from work right now. Anytime that I am driving, I've been listening to it. And I plan on going to the gym yesterday and today. But yesterday my husband was sick, and then today he was asleep and didn't want to get up. So I might just have to go by myself, because it's not working out otherwise. I'm sorry if I keep going out of focus, because I just looked over and was out of focus. But if I get my camera any farther away from me, the viewfinder on the back gets triggered and it turns off my screen. Sometimes I miss old cameras. Other times I don't. So I'm just getting on to tell you that I've started Witchwood, which is the 3rd book in my TBR, and that so far I'm liking it a lot. I just got to figure out how I'm going to put these up, because I have a readathon where I'm reading the same book. So I got to stagger them a little bit so they don't go up at the same time. Maybe they'll go up in consecutive weeks. I don't know yet. We will see. All right, so yeah, I will talk to you guys again soon as I've read more. So far the only thing I know about Witchwood was what I knew going in, is that it is the sequel to Furthermore. The characters from Furthermore are in the book. They are a main character in the book. So I don't think you technically have to read Furthermore before you read Witchwood, but I really would. And then Witchwood's about a girl named Layla, who is a washer of dead bodies. Because she doesn't wash the dead bodies, she can't set their souls free. If she doesn't set their souls free, they haunt her. And I'm like a quarter of the way through it right now, a little less than a quarter way through it right now, and I'm liking it a lot. Audiobook is definitely interesting. It's narrated by a gentleman, and he has a way of telling the story that's actually pretty fun. So yeah, that's all I got for the moment. I'm gonna go back to editing and reading. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Hi guys, so I just wanted to do a quick follow-up on Witchwood, because I didn't do one earlier. So to go with my reading stuff, I wanted to give you like an update that I have finished Witchwood. That is 3 books from Chris's, this is the 3 main books from Chris's TBR that I have now officially read. I do want to read Cruel Prince before I put this up though, so I can give you guys a reaction to Cruel Prince as well. Blah, 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 blah. But Chris won't be reading it with me. She's in the middle of finals and is totally stressed out and has not read anything in months except for schoolwork, which sucks, and I feel bad for her. But I just wanted to give you guys an update on this. I thought it was amazing, and I put it into, I was doing it while I was doing my vlog for Tis the Season-a-thon, and I put quite a bit of information in there. But what I said is that I think that this is a really awesome book. I very much enjoyed it. I definitely think you need to read Furthermore first though, because Alice and Oliver are both in this book, and if you don't know their story arc, then I feel like you're missing something for this one. This one's about Lily, and she's a mortgagor, and she washes dead bodies, and she's been mistreated and forgotten by her community, and because of that she's overworked, underpaid, and dying. I thought it was amazing, and I love the way that Stahara Mafi writes, and I'm looking forward to reading some of her more grown-up books. I mean, her other books are all young adult, but I feel like this is definitely middle grade. That is like 110%, no denying the middle gradeness in this book. But it's still a beautiful book. I love the way it's narrated. I highly recommend the narrator, the audiobook. But even without the audiobook, I still think it's a beautiful, beautiful story, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Hi guys, so welcome back. I have an update. I actually have an update for 2 different videos, but since this video is going to be done first, I'm going to do this one first. So as you know, my friend Chris, who also has a YouTube channel but hasn't been active on it lately because she's been busy with school, decided to pick each other's TBR, and that was in September. It is now December, and I have finally finished the last book. She picked out the Bells, Witchwood, and My Lady Jane as single reads for me to do, and then we decided to do the Cruel Prince as a buddy read. So I started off this week reading The Witch of Willow Hall. The Witch of Willow Hall, and it's a witchy book. Even saying witch is, when you put a spoiler for the book in the title of the book, there are problems to be had. Anyways, I finished, as I was finishing that, she started The Cruel Prince, so she finished this yesterday and I finished it today. But we have similar yet different opinions. So I decided to give The Cruel Prince 4 stars. And she gave the Cruel Prince 3 stars. We're both gonna go on to the next one. I've already pre-ordered the next one, which was part of the reasons why I wanted to get this read, because I know the next one comes out in like 3 weeks, and I've already read it. Well, I've already ordered that one, so now I wanted to read this one. Wow, does that make any sense whatsoever? Nope. Okay, I'm tired. I'm also doing a readathon, and this was my stay up all night reading. So I've gotten about 4 hours of sleep, and I'm tired. But I'm still kind of processing. So the problem with this book is you really don't like anybody in it. There is a small child in the book that you like. But other than that, all the characters are kind of despicable. And you don't know who to root for. I found myself liking one of what we thought would be one of the more despicable characters. And I'm like, I don't know why I like this person. I have a feeling that I like this person. I can't tell you much about it though, because that would just ruin it all. Okay, so it's about, the main character's name is Jude. Jude has a twin sister, Tyron, and an older sister, Livy. Liviana, I think it's what her full name is, but everyone called her Livy. Or sorry, Viviana. Oh, I'm tired, I told you. Everyone calls her Vivi, V-I-V-I. And Vivi is part fae and part human. And when Vivi was still in utero, her mother escaped from fairy and came to the mortal world with her husband. Her new husband, her runaway husband, the guy that she left her husband for. There we go. And she went into hiding, had this baby, and then got pregnant with twins and had them too. So about 10 years after she ran away from fairy, the older daughter, Vivi, her father, his name's Maddox, went to the mortal realm to bring her back, and in the process killed both of the parents, killed both of Jude's parents, and they watched their parents being slaughtered, and then he took the girls back to fairy with him. He said that it was his honor-bound duty to take care of his wife's illegitimate children, so he took all 3 of the girls with him. And the book is about how they are acting, how they are doing. You have Vivi, who is legitimately fae, who doesn't want it. She doesn't want it. She just wants to go back to the mortal realm. That's where she feels most comfortable. It's where she feels better. Then you have both the twins, who neither of them have any fae in them whatsoever, and they both want nothing more than to be part of the fairy world. And one's going to go by brute force, and one wants to go about it with love. And it's their story. And as you progress, you just really don't like any of these characters. They're kind of snotty to each other. Hold that. They're very snotty to each other. Of course, everyone's plotting and conniving and horrible and ugh. But it's a good book. It keeps you interested. Chris thinks it's a little bit too juvenile for her, but I have a feeling she's growing out of YA. Whereas I don't think I'll ever grow out of YA, and even middle grade, it has to be a certain level of too immature for me to be able to read. I can read middle grade no problem as long as it's not too immature. And I'm the same way with YA. Every once in a while you'll even get a YA book that's less mature than a middle grade book, and those ones I can't stick with usually because it's just too much for me. But for the most part, I have no problem reading any genre. Whereas Chris can't read middle grade, and her YA she's getting more and more jaded about it, and she's be able to read less and less. And so she thought it was just too juvenile. She's like, it's like high school. And I'm like, these are teenagers. Of course it's like high school. But overall, we both finished it. We were both looking forward to the next one. And yeah, so that's it. I have completed everything on that TBR, which means I get to go have somebody pick me out a new one. I think I'm probably gonna have my husband pick me out one next, but I haven't decided yet for sure. But I will let you guys know. You will see a TBR video at some point in time, and if it's my husband, then I'm gonna have him film going through and picking out stuff. I'll do the same thing for him. I'll have him pick me out 3 or 4 books. And it'll probably take me another 3 or 4 months to read them all. Why? Because I'm a mood reader, and I have to time in the mood to read that book, and I have idiot problems because I need to want to read them more soon than that, but I suck. Anyways, that's it for now, and I will talk to you in another video. Bye.